So what does this look like when I have more than one variable? Because this may be something that you come up against. So I want to factor 12x to the third y squared minus 36xy to the fifth power. Okay, so again, I'm going to GCF my coefficients, 12 and 36. I've got to think of the largest common factor that I can divide out of both coefficients, and I'm thinking it's 6 because I know 6 will divide into 12 and 6 will divide into 36, but I just want to check if that's the biggest because it may not be the biggest. So I'm going to math right arrow 9, and I'm going to type in 12, comma 36. Again, can't put in a negative, and you got to make sure you put that comma in between. And I was wrong. It's 12. So even though 6 is a factor of 12 and 36, it's not the greatest common factor. So I'm glad I checked my math in the calculator. All right, so now we're going to look at x's. So x to the third means I have x times x times x, and x to the first power means I just have x. So what is the largest amount of x's that I can factor out of each term? That would only be 1x. And now I have another variable, I have a y. So y squared really means I have y times y, and y to the fifth means I am taking that base of y and multiplying it 5 times. So now I need to look at my y's separately from my x's, and I need to ask myself, how many y's does each term have to give up? Well, this guy can give up all 2 of his y's, which means this guy also has 2 y's to give up. So I would be factoring out y squared from each term. So now I need to be very careful about my exponents when I multiply because I need to figure out what times 12xy squared is going to give me this product of 12x to the third y squared. Well, I already have my 12, so I really would be multiplying by an invisible 1. And I have 1x here. What would I need to multiply x by to get x to the third? That would be x squared. And I already have the y squared, so I don't need to multiply by any more y's or else it's going to make this exponent go up, so that is it. So x squared times 12xy squared is going to give me the product of 12x to the third y squared. Now I got to figure out what goes here. What times 12xy squared is going to give me negative 36xy to the fifth? Okay, I need to multiply by negative 3. That's what's going to make my negative 36 when I multiply my coefficients. Again, I already have my x. I don't need any more x's, but I need y to the fifth power, and I have y squared. So I'm going to need more y's, y to the third, because 3 plus 2 is 5. So my factors are 12xy squared times x squared minus 3y to the third. And this guy right here, 12xy squared, he is the GCF. He is the greatest common factor out of each. All right, so let's look at this next one. Okay, so I want to factor out 16xy squared minus 48 x to the fifth, y to the fourth, plus 24 y to the third. And again, I have 3 coefficients, so I'm going to need to do my GCF in my calculator twice because I really can't figure out. I'm thinking it's 2 because 16, 48, and 24 are all even, but I just want to double check that there's not a bigger GCF. So I'm going to math, right arrow, 9, 16, comma, and then instead of negative 48, I'm going to use positive 48. I can only do the first 2 once. Okay, so 16 is the common factor. So now I'm going to take their common factor and now GCF that with 24. So math, right arrow, 9, 16, comma, 24. I don't think 16 goes into 24 evenly, so I bet it's a different GCF for all 3 of these terms. And it's 8, and 8 does divide into 16 and 48 and 24. I'm glad I checked my calculator because 2 is a factor. It's just not the greatest factor. All right, now let's look at our variables. Let's see how many x's each term has to give up. Well, the first one is just x. The second one is x to the fifth, which means I'm multiplying the base of x 5 times, and then the last one doesn't have any x's. So I really cannot factor out any x's because this last term does not have any x's to give up. And now we're going to look at the y's. Y to the power of 2 means the base of y is multiplied twice. Y to the power of 4 means the base of y is multiplied 4 times. And y to the third means that that base of y is being multiplied 3 times. So how many y's can each term give up? This guy can only give up 2. Well, this guy has 2 y's to give. and so does this one. So I can actually factor out a y squared. I just can't factor out any x variables at this time. So now I'm going to start using my multiplication skills. Okay, I need a 2 to make 16 because 2 times 8 is 16, and I need an x, and then I already have y squared, so I don't need any more y's being multiplied or this exponent is going to increase. So there we go. 2x times 8y squared is going to give me 16xy squared. What times 8y squared is going to give me negative 48x to the 5th, y to the 4th? Well, I got to figure out negative 48 divided by 8 is going to be negative 6. And then I need x to the 5th because I don't have any x's here. And then I already have 2 y's. So what would I need to multiply y squared by to create y to the 4th? That would be y squared. And here, ooh, I know that's 3 because 3 times 8 is 24. And then I don't need any x's because this term doesn't have any x's to that end up in the product, but I have y to the 3rd. What times y squared is going to give me y to the 3rd? Well, I just need a y. So my factors are 8y squared times 2x minus 6x to the 5th y squared plus 3y are my factors. And 8y squared, that guy, is my GCF.